Living a life in full is a conversation you always wanted to have with that person who gave an amazing TED Talk, or the author of one of your favorite books, or that inspirational Olympian you always wanted to know more about. It's graduate-level conversations with those making a difference in the world and in the lives of others. This show brings you new ideas and approaches so that you can live a life in full. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Stout, and I hope you enjoy this episode. This episode is brought to you by the nonprofit I founded, the Center for Global Initiatives. The Center is an all-volunteer organization, so there are no salaries, and thus all tax-deductible donations can go to the work. While our key country partner is in Tanzania, our work is global and generally focused in the areas of education and healthcare. We also help others to get their nonprofits started or augment others' project-based initiatives. It's our goal to open-source humanitarian intervention and to help make it easier for others to do more good in the world. We are proud to have been ranked a great nonprofit every year since 2011 and to have achieved a platinum-level rating by GuideStar. Links in this episode's show notes will take you to published articles on our outcomes, a number of helpful tools, and downloadable resources, which are all free, always. Please visit us at centerforglobalinitiatives.org and be sure to watch our video at patreon.com/Dr. Chris Stout to learn more. Thanks. Welcome to another episode of Living a Life in Full. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Stout. Unless you've been living under a rock, you most likely have heard of Darryl "DMC" McDaniels, the driving force behind his legendary band, Run-DMC. Darryl's 40-plus years in the music industry has made history by selling over 40 million records and over 1 billion streams. As part of the first rap group to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone and to be featured on MTV, he helped redefine music, culture, fashion, and language, leaving an indelible mark on American history. His influence on popular culture remains profound. In 2009, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2016, he received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing performers who, throughout their lifetimes, have made creative contributions of outstanding artistic significance to the field of recording. His music career remains iconic. His new album, America, featuring collaborations with rock and hip-hop legends including Chuck D, Mick Mars, Duff McKagan, Joan Jett, Sammy Hagar, Ice-T, Travis Barker, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Bumpy Knuckles, and Blacktop Mojo. What you may not know is that in 2021, Darryl published his first children's book, Darryl's Dream, through Random House Books for Young Readers, in partnership with Nickelodeon. He is the co-author of 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide, reflecting on his journey and struggles with mental health. In partnership with You Will, Darryl advocates for mental health support, particularly for men of color. As a person who has always known the importance of paying it forward, Darryl has been active in his community and is a philanthropist with many charities and organizations. He continues to inspire and innovate across multiple creative and philanthropic domains. In 2023, he launched another DMC venture, Darryl Makes Cookies, featuring his signature chocolate chip cookies. And Darryl Makes Comics is a comic book company he founded, blending his love for hip-hop with his childhood passion for adventure. His comic company's first full-length graphic novel debuted in 2014 with an annual release following each year. Darryl's journey has led him to advocate for adoption and foster care, as he highlighted in the 2007 Emmy-winning VH1 documentary, DMC, My Adoption Journey. In 2006, Darryl co-founded the Felix Organization, a nonprofit with the mission to enrich the lives of children in foster care. Since its inception, the Felix Organization has served over 18,000 children, many of whom have attended Camp Felix, a unique summer sleepaway camp designed to serve this population. And even more have participated in Felix Forward, offering a variety of year-round enrichment opportunities and events within a caring and supportive community. Beyond adoption, Darryl's philanthropic efforts extend to various sectors, including his role on the Hip Hop Public Health Advisory Board, where he advocates for health awareness, and his involvement with the Garden of Dreams Foundation, which supports children facing adversity. His contributions to youth, adoption, and mental health advocacy have earned him numerous awards. Darryl and I met for the first time at a recent event in New York City where we were both awardees, and I came to learn more about the complexities of an amazing artist, humanitarian, and person. So I'm glad to be able to have him on the show. Welcome, Darryl. It's great to reconnect and have you on.
Hey, what's up, Doc? Thank you for having me here. I appreciate this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in the intro, I hit some of the highlights of your work and your life, and I want to do a deeper dive and exploration about a number of aspects. So maybe the best place to start would be in Hollis, Queens. Could you set the stage for us from those early days?
Yeah, I grew up in a place called Hollis, Queens. It was a lower middle class suburban area of Queens. In the 60s and 70s and early 80s, it wasn't like Harlem, and it wasn't like the Bronx, and it wasn't like Do It Dead Die Bed-Stuy. Across the whole neighborhood, we had our little blocks and corners. But me, Darryl McDaniels, I went to Catholic school my whole life, was a straight A student. I love comic books. Had both of my parents in the house. Byford was my father. Vanna was my mother. My brother Alfred. And I was just a kid that spent most of my time reading comic books. And the fact that I was always reading comic books since, like, I would say second grade, it made me an excellent student. So school was easy to me because in kindergarten, when I first saw my first comic book, I believe it was a Batman cover. And just the way the art jumped out at me, I felt something through my whole body. And I was like, what is that? This is incredible. So, I would hold my brother's hand and we would walk to the candy store or the drugstore because that's where they sold the magazines and the comic books. And I would get the comic book and I would just look at the pictures, kindergarten to first grade. But by first grade, I said, you know what? I'm going to pay attention in school to become a great reader so I could understand what in the world Tony Stark's Professor X and Reed Richards was talking about. So my life in Queens, my parents always worked. My father, he was a boiler man at the MTA bus depot. He didn't drive the buses, but he worked at the bus depot where all the buses would go in and out all day. They always worked 8 to 12 hours, every day. My mother was a nurse, but they paid for me to go to every school I went to. I went to elementary, Catholic high school, and eventually made it to St. John's University. But growing up as a kid, I wasn't that kid that was in the streets because my mother was like, when that street light is on, when you see them street lights come on, you have your butt in this house.
Good for her.
So I had to have an imagination. So, my neighborhood was beautiful though, because I wish communities still had this going on. On my block, my mother was your mother, and your mother was my mother. So everybody was very connected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the parents looked out for the other kids. And I think that was the beauty of keeping most of the kids on my block away from the drugs, away from the gangs, away from the negativity.
Nice. Yeah, those are unfortunately such a bygone era, but yeah, I think that whole sense of community and shared responsibility and probably all the love that you guys felt, from family and from that kind of, proxy for family called neighbors. So
yes, somewhere along the line, Doc, that left the neighborhood.
yeah. And a lot of other neighborhoods as well too. So so I get and I was also a big Batman fan and DC Comics and Marvel and whatnot.
I was more, the reason I love DC, let me just say this. I love DC, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, because I was an artist. I learned to draw by second grade. So
Wow.
I would read the books, draw everything I saw, read the book again, keep drawing. So I would read, collect, draw, read, collect, draw, read, collect, draw. But I was a huge Marvel fan because of this. Remember, I was the kid that when you see that street light come on, you got to have your butt in this house.
Right.
But Stanley was brilliant. DC was great, but Gotham and Metropolis wanted to be New York. Stan
Hmm.
Lee did something amazing. He just put the superheroes in New York. So, Chris, without leaving my room, I learned about the place I lived in. I learned about Hell's Kitchen. I learned about Harlem. I learned about the Lower East Side. So Stanley was able to teach me about New York City, all the places that I heard about and read about, all the places I seen on the news and read about in the newspaper with the headlines. I was able to learn about my city right in my bedroom. And
Oh,
that's why I gravitated
that,
toward Marvel.
that never occurred to me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like with
Yeah.
Daredevil and Kingpin. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
I learned about 42nd Street and I saw the Statue of Liberty. I saw the Empire
Yeah.
State Building. I saw the Twin Towers without leaving my bedroom. So, and I got to meet Stanley 2 times. And
Oh
he said, yeah,
man.
I did
Oh.
that purposely, young man.
Oh, that must have been amazing. How I gotta take a sidebar.
Yeah.
How did you and Stan cross paths? What a wonderful experience.
Well, when my friend convinced me to start my comic book company, I discovered this was God sent because it was a way for me to get in all the Comic Cons. So attending all the Comic Cons, Stan Lee was like just the god of all the Comic Cons. So I got to meet him and tell him, I grew up in Queens, New York, and um, one of the beautiful things I told him was like, Peter Parker, I was able to relate to Peter Parker, not only because he was from Queens like me, like when I found out Spider-Man was from Queens, it wasn't make believe no more. But also when you look at Peter Parker, he was this awkward, educated, nerdy, geeky kid that
Hmm.
happened to be Spider-Man. And that kind of reading Spider-Man and seeing Peter Parker being like me, oh wow, he's educated. So
Yeah.
it's cool to be smart. You can be a superhero. And it led me to say, I don't have to be in a gang to be cool. I don't have to steal and lie and cheat to be cool. So I told Stan Lee that. He was like, I guess I created a monster because now you're this superhero on the microphone. And I said, oh, you discovered my secret.
Yeah, your superpower isn't so secret.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Well, maybe that's a good segue. Let's discuss your music. You've
Uh-huh.
said that you are influenced by a number of styles, a number of artists, but your personal foray into forming Run DMC was more so rap and hip hop. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, I guess as a little kid, music in my house, because of my parents, it was Al Green,
Hmm.
Marvin Gaye, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So that's what I heard as a kid. But I'm a kid. All I cared about was comic books, the greatest movies ever made, which was the 1930s, Bela Lugosi, Boris
Oh
Karloff,
yeah.
Frankenstein. Those were
Yep.
phenomenal movies.
Yep.
Comic books, the early Japanese black and white Godzilla films,
Mm-hmm.
the Flintstones and the Jetsons, prehistoric and the future,
Yeah.
Adam's Family, Brady Bunch, the Munsters. So
Yeah.
I was a child of pop culture,
Yeah.
but my imagination, things that sparked my imagination was my only interest. So music was in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And going into the 70s, coming out of the 60s, going into the 70s, music in my house, you either listen to it was AM stations. So my father would listen to the so-called rock or white AM station,
Mm-hmm.
and then he would listen to the black or soul black station. But a phenomenal thing happened when 77 WABC in New York City, they did something amazing. They played the black and white music together. And I remember it was DJs like Dan Ingram, Harry Harrison. And I remember being a little kid listening to the radio,
Uh-huh.
77 ABC. And I'm like, you would hear the Jackson 5, Sly and the Family Stone, but you also would hear Crosby, Stills, Young and Nash.
Mm.
You would also hear Procol Harum. You would
Mm-hmm.
hear Aretha Franklin, but you would also hear Janis Joplin and Joni Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? You would
Yeah.
hear James Brown, but you also would hear Queen and Elton John and the Stones. And it was something about the folk rock and the rock, or what people now know as classic rock, that I gravitated to. But it
Mm-hmm.
was really because of school, because, a lot of the soul music was about love.
Yeah.
Outside of Gil Scott-Heron and Curtis Mayfield and songs like that, and even Marvin Gaye, who was known for sexy soul love songs, he made the song "What's Going On."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was more of the folk and the rock songs, like Crosby, Stills, Young and Nash, Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, John Fogerty, and Creedence. They were singing about society, social issues.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the folk and the rock songs would say stuff like Fogerty's president, fortunate son. I would hear president and government and mayor and what's going on. And I was like, I know about those things. I learned about those things in social studies. I learned about those things in history. But then the more and more I started paying attention to the folk and the rock songs, the two things that really caught me with soul music was beautiful, funk was beautiful, all the disco was beautiful. But on a lot of these rock songs, the instruments that they use, like the drums and the guitars and the harmonicas, the drums of rock music was way louder than the drums of soul and funk. And it was like, it was like superhero music to me
Mm-hmm.
because it was so powerful. It was like the Hulk, but more so, the thing that attracted to me, they were singing about stuff I was hearing in school. Then it led me to paying attention to songs by Harry Chapin and Jim Croce,
Wow.
which were like storytelling songs.
Mm-hmm.
And the way these folk artists would tell their stories, and the way Neil Young and Fogerty would tell their stories, it came off to me like I was reading a comic book. So I think that was my connection.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to be in the music business. This is all I had with me. Those folk songs and those rock songs from the radio that I could relate to. Songs such as Bad, Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town, better than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog. And, Harry Chapin's Cats in the Cradle. It was like
Mm-hmm.
nursery rhymes and superheroes and comic book and
Yeah.
TV show characters. So I had all of this in me, along with my imagination and along with my education. But I had nowhere to let it out. So I remember disco being hugely popular, right, in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
You had Hollywood. You had the CEOs and the athletes and the actors and all of Hollywood, all the famous people, all the rich people from Hollywood was coming to New York City to go to this place called Studio 54.
Mm-hmm.
And, most of the young people in New York City, first of all, we know we wasn't getting in Studio 54.
Right.
But we wanted to know what in the world was all the rich people doing. Now, even if you look at entertainment today, there's the Rolls Royces and the diamonds and the jewelry and the private jets and the planes. It was just like that in the 70s, but we couldn't put our finger on why in the world is Hollywood, what the hell Hollywood want to come to New York City? Because even though we had Studio 54, we didn't know what was going on in there. But who would want to come to New York City in the 70s?
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy until Mayor Giuliani Well, Giuliani brought Disney to 42nd Street. 42nd Street was a madhouse
Yeah.
of drugs and sex and porn, and it was
Mm.
crime. It was like crazy. So we thinking, why is Hollywood? Stay in LA. You have the sun. You have beautiful. You have Rodeo Drive. Why all these people come to New York City? So the young people here in the city was kind of confused. But then we found out, oh, the DJ's playing music. They come in to dance. Now, we wanted that, but we had no resources. We had no real estate. We had no money. There was no way of getting in Studio 54. So disco became hugely big. And this is documented, Chris, two of the biggest rock bands in the world at the time wanted to make disco records so they could get in Studio 54. And if you want to know what I'm talking about Queen, who was at the top of the world when it came to rock, and the Rolling Stones. Queen made Another One Bites the Dust. Don't. Another One Bites the, because they wanted to get in Studio 54. And by making those records, they got in. The Rolling Stones, if you remember, they made Miss You. Woo, woo,
Right.
girl, I miss you. And he talked about walk through Central Park, screaming after dark, and it's crazy. So he was like, yo, what is going on? And disco was huge, from the Bee Gees to Donna Summer to even the Tramps. You know, the soul groups was making Burn, Baby, Burn.
Yeah.
Disco would burn, oh, burn.
Right.
So disco was huge. But then I remember being a kid, being around 12 years old, when I woke up one morning and overnight, the whole world was going, disco sucks. And it died. But then, you know, the saying, another man's trash is another man's treasure. When they threw disco away and the records started going away and all the disco started closing, that's when hip hop was coming up. Because what had happened was the young people here in New York who was living in the death, darkness, and destruction and poverty and crime in New York City, we put two and two together. We was like, yo, they go into that disco and they play music and it's heaven for 5 or 6 hours. So when they threw disco away, we grabbed it, took the turntables, the vinyl records, the speakers, and the disco mixer to the streets of New York. We didn't have real estate to do it in. So you know what we did? We popped the light pole open, plugged up our equipment, and stole electricity from the city of New York free to put on our own disco in the streets. And the only reason we did that was for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, we could have heaven. We don't have to deal with the crime and the poverty and the drug dealing and the gang banging. Watching our mothers, fathers, aunts, and uncles and all the grown-ups around us struggle to make ends meet, but we can have a release. So everybody in New York, Chris, started doing disco in the streets of New York. And for the listeners there, if you listen to all the early rap records, even Run-DMC says 1984 on a song called Jam Master Jay that we did about our DJ, we said we got the master of the disco scratch. We just did it in a raw, free-formed, more spontaneous fashion. The Fat Boys, for instance, one of the biggest hip-hop groups in hip-hop in the early years, before they were the Fat Boys, they were the Disco 3. So, Chris, this disco thing starts happening everywhere. And everybody's doing it. There was DJs like Kool Herc, who's like the godfather of hip-hop. DJs like everybody knows Grandmaster Flash and The Message and the Furious 5. So everybody's doing this hip-hop thing. Then we're doing it in the streets. The Sugar Hill Gang comes out with the first record. So when Rapper's Delight came out by the Sugar Hill Gang, it was kind of like a transitional period for the art form and culture. We took this thing called disco, we made it our own, and by utilizing, this is key, the records that we were hearing on the radio, we took those records, the funk, the soul, the folk, and the rock records. We call it sampling, but literally we stole the music that was already made being played on the radio, and we found a part when nobody was talking, and we put our own stories there so our voices could be heard. And
Wow.
that was the motivation behind hip-hop. It wasn't to be famous, it wasn't to make money, it wasn't to start a new genre or culture. This was our way of life. It was more of a release. It was a more way of communication, and it was more of a way of saying, okay, it's death, darkness, and destruction in our communities, but we use our imagination to create these fun records where everybody's eating and we're dancing and we're rapping and we're singing and we're breakdancing and we're doing graffiti, we're doing art. It was almost like hip hop was like almost the comic books jumped off the comic book pages and went into every street, community, park, basement, and through the graffiti, even though it was wrong, every wall in New York City.
Yeah. Wow. It
And
was really sort
go
of like
ahead.
the start of the soundtrack for that era as well, too.
Yes, 100%. So when that happened, the greatest period for hip hop is the period before Rappers Delight, which a lot of people don't know about. There's a lot of people in hip hop currently, not just a lot of the listeners, but there's a lot of people who are in hip hop in the music business that have no idea what the culture's about.
Hmm.
So the thing that happened was everybody was doing it. Everybody was DJing, MCing, breakdancing, and doing graffiti. But when Rappers Delight, when Sylvia Robinson, who was an R&B singer herself, one of the records that she was famous for was a record called Pillow Talk, which played in all the discos too and all on the radio. But when she put the Sugar Hill Gang on record, it was a transition for us because now we are able to do what we saw every Saturday. Every kid, every Saturday in New York City was this. At 12 o'clock on a Saturday, you watch Soul Train with Don Cornelius. When Soul Train was over at 1 o'clock, you turn right to Channel 7 and you watch American Bandstand with Dick Clark. That was our lives. In addition to watching the Jetsons and the Flintstones and Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes on Saturday mornings. On Saturday mornings, 12 noon Soul Train, 1 o'clock American Bandstand, where you could see everybody being played on the radio. So once Rappers Delight got to record, it eventually would lead us to radio. So that being said, when Rappers Delight came out, my partner Joseph Simmons, who people know as Run in the group, he was already a professional rapper in New York City before Rappers Delight came out because he was the protege of a rapper called Curtis Blow. So at 15 years old, Run's already a professional rapper. The world just don't know it yet. He's always in his brother Russell Simmons, Joseph Simmons' brother Russell, was managing a lot of the early hip hop groups. So Joseph being a protege of Curtis Blow was always in his brother Russell's ear. Russell, now that they make a record, let me make a record, let me make a record, let me make a record. So, like I said, everybody was doing it. All of these records start coming out, Curtis Blow had the breaks and Christmas rapping, which was actually the first Christmas record before Run-DMC's Christmas and Hollis record. And then you had The Message, which is the Message is the greatest rap song ever. Then you had Soul Sonic Force, Africa Bambaataa, Planet Rock, all of the early stuff. So Joe, he's 15 years old, and his brother's ear, let me make a record, let me make a record, let me make a record. He's doing it really not throughout the year, only during the summertime when school's out. When school's out, Run can go and tour with Curtis Blow. But when his school semester starts again, he's a kid. He's still in elementary school. At this time, I'm noticing before Sugar Hill Gang, when you heard the live performances of a hip hopper, if you heard a DJ and a rapper, they would be rapping over all the music that was playing on the radio, right? If you had a live, this is before Rappers Delight. So around this time, you could tell stories about who you are over music. So me being a comic book kid, in my imagination, I go, I'm going to be the most powerful entity in the hip hop universe. I shall be Easy D because it's easy for me to write these raps because I'm a smart little kid and I'm like that man. So going on, I'm writing a little rhyme and to make you understand what it was like. It wasn't to write songs. It was more like a creativity to have a diary. I would just write about what my mom's was doing, what I was doing as a school kid, what I like to eat. So eventually, every day, these pages of these rhyme books is filling. So fast forward to me and Run, we went to the same elementary school, but he was always in the other class.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that brought us together was this: we was at the only Catholic school that was still in Hollis, Queens. It was St. Pascal Baylon Elementary.
Uh-huh.
The nuns and the priests there was like, we can't abandon the little black kids in the neighborhood. There's so much potential here. And they held on for as long as they could. So Run was in 8-1. I was in 8-2. What had happened that changed this changed history. We had one little basketball court in the schoolyard. Because remember, Doc, if you got your uniform on and you're in a Catholic school in the hood, you gotta make it home, take off your uniform and put on your play clothes so you fit in. Because
Sure.
if you get caught with that uniform
Right.
on, your life's gonna be miserable. They're
That's
gonna
right.
take your money.
Yep.
The public school kids were so mean or misinformed, but this was so mean. They would look at me and go, "Oh, you got a uniform on. You go to Catholic school." This is what they thought. Your mother and father is rich because they pay for you to go to school. So
Mhm.
if you wasn't smart enough to put your quarters in your sock, so when they search your pockets, I mean, for years, I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade. For years, I don't understand. By 3rd grade, you should know how to navigate this jungle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the thing that happened in 8th grade was, in 8th grade, we had one basketball rim where we could stay after school and play ball in the yard. In 8th grade, I wonder if he's still alive. Maybe he'll hear me say this. In 8th grade, a new student comes to the school. His name is David McGeechan. I'll never forget this. And David McGeechan, he was to us, we 8th graders in elementary school. To us, this new kid comes to school and he's tall. Why did you wait till 8th grade to switch schools? You had one more year. You should have stayed where you was at and then go on to high school. But in the middle of the year, this kid named David McGeechan comes. And for us, he was tall like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Uh-huh.
So to us, he was like 7'2", like he was the giant in the school. He might have been 6'3" or 2, but to us, in 8th grade, that's huge. So long story short, Chris, this is funny. David McGeechan takes upon himself to dunk on the only basketball rim in the Catholic school kids' yards, and he breaks the rim. Immediately, we all crying now. He just ruined our afternoon curricular activities because now we can't go to the other park and fit in and be normal like the other kids unless we go all the way home and put our uniform on. But then here's Darryl McDaniels. Remember, I had the greatest parents ever. Hold up, kids. Do not worry. My mother and father are the best parents ever. I have a basketball rim in my backyard.
Oh.
And that was like a lifesaver. So now after school, we would leave school, go to my backyard and play basketball. So on any given day, it's 15 to 20 kids in my backyard.
Oh.
One day, Joseph Simmons shows up by himself. And I'm like, Joe, where's everybody else at? And it was one of those things, Doc, where, Joe was like, well, Doug is on punishment. Remember when kids would get on punishment?
Right.
Yeah, he got to go straight home from school. Sheridan got a doctor appointment. This other kid's got an eye appointment. So it's just me and Joe. We play basketball. During all of this time, my brother, who's already graduated from 8th grade, he's already in high school. Him and the older kids, my brother and his friends, they were already getting the turntables, like the DJ equipment. So we had DJ equipment in my basement, and I was dabbling with it. I was writing, And my brother would be like, yo, don't touch my equipment. And what killed me about that was we did a comic book sale, Chris, to get the equipment
Oh,
because me and my
oh.
brother, yeah, me and my brother, we had a problem. We didn't sell weed.
So,
So
yeah.
it wasn't even weed then, reefer. Let me
Right.
keep it real. People love it. If you sold reefer back in the 60s and 70s, you had some money. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? Get a motorcycle, you get a bike. So me and my brother, when my brother's friends, Anthony and Booby, they had jobs. So they was able to get the disco DJ equipment immediately. My brother, he comes home one day and he says, yo, Darryl, we got to get equipment like everybody else. And just from the look in his face, I knew where he was going. We're going to do a comic book sale
Oh,
to get two
no.
turntables. And he made me sell all my comic
Oh.
books. I mean,
Oh.
my attic was full of Spider, everything Marvel.
Oh.
So we got this equipment now, and I'm dabbling with it. So Joe comes over my house this day. It's only him. Let's play basketball. Here's where everything hit the fan. This is where fates and destiny steps in. One of the rules when I was younger, and remember earlier I said my parents always worked.
Mm-hmm.
So they were always going from 8 in the morning to 4 at night. 8 in the morning, 4, always gone. So one of the rules was when there's no adults home, you can't have company.
Uh-huh.
But this particular day, it's just Joe. We would get out of school 2:10. My parents didn't get home till 4 p.m. So this day we played basketball. It was only like 3:10. So usually what I would do is I would go in there, people are gonna love this. I would go in the house, get the jug of ice water and the Dixie cups. And I would come to the back door, give each kid a Dixie cup, fill their cup up. This particular day, it's just Joseph Simmons himself. I said, you know what? My mother and father ain't coming home for another hour. You can come in to get the water. So I bring him in my house to go in the basement and wait. When he goes in the basement, he sees me and my brother's turntables.
Oh.
So I come downstairs. He goes, do you do this? And I go, nah, I don't, that's like my secret thing. No, I can't let nobody know. It's almost like, no, I'm not Spider-Man.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Or he's made it to the Bat Cave.
Right. Yes, I actually let Run in the Batcave, right? So he asked me if I'm Batman, and I go, no. And then he goes, well, my brother is Russell Simmons. If you ever seen the flyers and the posters of the disco DJ MC hip hop shows, my brother, he manages and he promotes all those parties. So now I'm a little open. I'm like, yeah. And then he goes, yeah, I am the son of Curtis Blow. And I'm like, what's that? He says, well, I'm the protege of Curtis Blow. Every summer I go on the road and I get to rap with Curtis Blow. So now besides Catholic school and basketball, me and Joe found another thing to connect.
Mm-hmm.
So what we used to do after this day was we would leave school, play ball for a half hour, and then go in the basement and DJ together.
Wow.
But one day we're down in the basement, and usually when I knew Joe was coming to the basement, I would hide my rhyme book where I was writing my rhymes because it was like my diary.
Yeah.
But one fateful day, I forget to put it away. And it's my turn to DJ. I'm DJing, and I look over at Joe, and he got my book in his hand.
Uh-oh.
So I run over there, and I try to grab it from him. He's like, what's this? What's this? Now he know he's on this song.
Uh-huh.
And then he says, no, calm down. And he was reading it, and he says these words to me. This is in 8th grade. I'll never forget. He goes, D, this is really good. Then he says, whenever my brother lets me make a record, because remember, I'm telling you, all of this time, Run's 15 years old and his brother's here. Let me make a record. Russell is saying, no, Joey, you too young. But then Joe, he had it on his mind. He going to make that record one day.
Uh-huh.
But then he says to me, D, whenever my brother lets me make a record, I'm putting you in my group. And I look at him and go, what in the hell did you just say? What? I don't really do this. You, Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Flash, Zulu Nation, y'all guys really do this. This is just a hobby. And he just pointed at me and he smirked. So we graduate elementary school. 8th grade, we graduate. We go to 2 completely different high schools, right?
Uh-huh.
He goes to Andrew Jackson High School in Queens, which was about 5 minutes from Hollis. Me, on the other hand, at the time, my best friend was this guy named Douglas Hayes. We went to St. Pascal's from kindergarten to 8th grade together. So then we decided, yo, we're going to go to Rice High School, which was an all-boys Catholic high school in Harlem. We said, that's where we're going to go for the next 4 years. So for 4 years, me and Run at different schools, different high schools. But, we seeing each other in the neighborhood, doing the thing that kids do. So I go to Rice High School for 4 years. In the 12th year of Rice High School, I was the class of 82. June of 82, I graduated. August of 82, the phone rings. It's Joe. Hey, D, what's up? What's up, Joe? He goes, remember 4 years ago in 8th grade when I told you if my brother lets me make a record? I go, yeah. And if I get a chance, I'm putting you in my group. I go, yeah. He goes, grab your rhyme book. We're going to the studio to make a record. So in August of 82, me and Run went and recorded our first single called It's Like That, and That's the Way It Is, which was a record about how the community and the conditions in New York City and all cities were. And then we did it was always A-side, B-side in those early years. Remember, Disco Records was A-side, B-side. So the A-side was our social commentary record. It's Like That, and That's the Way It Is, talking about the world. And the B-side was a song called Sucker MCs, which said, if you don't rap as good as me and Joe, you're a sucker MC. Oh, here I sit with you because of Catholic school, David McEachern, disco, and Joe being a man of his word.
Oh, man.
That's crazy, right?
That is crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, and this is a perfect segue. I mean, gosh, thank you for sharing that story. That is so crazy in so many different ways. So now I need you to fact check me because I knew about It's Like That. So that was released like around 83. And then so
about 84.
84. Okay. Continue to fact check me. So I think
No, 83. You're right, 83.
All right. Well, here's where I may mess up. So
yes, Like That Sucker MCs was 83.
Okay.
That was our first single. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So then was it in 97? It got remixed by Jason Nevins into a 10-inch vinyl?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was so powerful. It took the Spice. Here's a quick fact musically. The Spice Girls, remember how huge they were? Mm-hmm. They were number one on the UK charts for like 30 weeks.
Yeah.
The Run-DMC, Jason Nimmons is Like That comes out, and we were the force that took the Spice Girls out of number one in the UK.
Oh my gosh, in the UK. Wow.
Yeah,
well, I have, my research says that sold around 5 million copies worldwide.
Yes, it was huge.
Made it the best-selling single of all time. And then in 2008, it ranked 40 on VH1's 100 Greatest Hip Hop Songs. So it's all from that guy breaking that hoop back in elementary school.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
Man.
Yeah. And even when I speak to young kids, I said, don't be ashamed of the things that you like for your imagination, because you never know what it could do for you.
Yeah, Here. Well, from what you were talking about too, of like the whole disco thing and then the equipment and sampling and mixing and things like that. Yeah. Like, and you guys, you in particular, and Run-DMC as a band were known for breaking down barriers in a variety of ways, musically, etc. I didn't know about the Spice Girls, which is actually pretty cool. But really cool. You guys famously mixed like with Aerosmith and Walk This Way. How did that come about? Was Rick Rubin part of that, or how? What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Rick Rubin. Yeah, the great producer Rick Rubin. Yeah. Now, it's a tongue twister. What people need to understand is Walk This Way isn't the first rock rap record. The first rock rap record was a record called Rock Box, which was on our first self-titled album, Run-DMC. The Rock Box song was the song which got hip-hop on MTV. But the reason why we did rock rap was we was rapping over rock, funk, R&B, disco, folk rock, classical, whatever had a dope beat and good music. Mm-hmm. The DJs would use that for the rapper to rap over. So when we came out with our first single, It's Like That, Circumcise 83. 1984, we came out with a second single, Hard Times, Jam Master Jay. And then we took it upon ourselves in 84 because the whole world was saying, okay, we'll give y'all these singles that y'all are doing like the disco records. But the whole world and all the music critics was there's no way anybody wants to hear a whole album full of hip hop and this rap stuff. So Run DMC in 1984, we released a self-titled Run DMC hip hop album with Rockbox as the single. We did a video for that. That gets us on MTV. Now everybody was like, oh, you can't do it again. So then in 85, I get mad because, like I said, as a kid growing up, Michael Jackson, James Brown, and everybody was cool. I didn't like the fact that people was trying to segregate music because I grew up listening to a station that played black and white music and didn't just call it black and white music. They just called it good music. So we heard everybody doing that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to write a song called The King of Rock. Like, I'm not going to call myself the king of rap because you're looking at that like that's something low. I said, I'm going to write a song called The King of Rock. And my intention was to have Elvis Presley and Mick Jagger and Cher and all the rock guys bow when I walk in the room. So 85, we do an album called The King of Rock with the single King of Rock. And Rockbox and King of Rock actually worked. It started to change the atmosphere in the music business. So in 86, we say, you know what? What was one of our favorite rock beats to rap over? It was this song. This is funny. It was this song on the album with the toys on the cover. And all me and Run knew it was number 4. We didn't know the name of it because our DJ Jam Master Jay would scratch the name off the label of the vinyl record, so the rival DJs wouldn't know what music he was playing. So me and Run just knew, yo, let's sample or let's steal the album with the toys, number 4. That album was Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic. So we were sampling Toys in the Attic. Rick Rubin, who became our producer at the time, Rick is just brilliant. He says, no, don't sample it and talk about how good you're on the mic. Let's remake the record over the way the band originally did it. And at first, me and Run didn't want to do that because we want to talk about us. I want to let the world know how great I am, and I'm the king of rock. But with a little collaboration. For this collaboration, a little cooperation from me and Run, and Jam Master Jay, Joe's brother Russell, and Rick was saying, y'all got to do this. So we decided to do the record over the way the band originally did it. But here's why it made history and changed music. While we and Run were, because me and Run had never heard the full record. Or if we did hear the full record, we never paid attention about it. Because at that time, we just wanted the first few seconds with the drum beat so we could talk about us. Like, we had heard the record on the radio, but it was something that wasn't something that we was going out to buy and listen to.
Right.
While we were learning the actual vocals of the record, Rick actually called over to Boston. Now, remember, Aerosmith at the time was gone. They were over.
They were. You resurrected them. Yeah.
I mean, they were like done.
Yep.
So Rick calls them and says, hello, my name is Rick Rubin. I know you know who Run DMC is. We want to do your record Walk This Way over. Do you want to do it? So imagine Aerosmith, who is this? And Rick goes, my name is Rick Rubin. I know you know who Run DMC is. I'm producing them. We are doing your record over. Do you want to do it? So Steve and Joe Perry at the time, now remember, they were working on that album that had Dude Looks Like a Lady, Angel, phenomenal record, but nobody cared. They were humble and kind enough to go, yeah, man, we heard of the Run DMC guys. We like what they're doing. Let's do the record together. So we go in the studio together. We do the record. The record comes out so good. They say, yo, we're going to do a video. We do the video. Of course, Aerosmith's already on MTV. Run DMC just got on MTV. They put the video on MTV and the whole world changed. Literally,
Yeah.
what that record did was, and people tell me this all over the world. I've been to every country. I could go to somewhere I haven't been yet since '86 when Walk This Way dropped with Aerosmith. I get this every time I go. They go, DMC, don't you know when Steven Tyler took that microphone and knocked down the wall that was separating y'all in the video? It didn't just happen in the video. It really happened all over the world.
Yeah.
From Asia to Germany, musically, black people and white people going together. Now, the reason why it was able to happen was when people was channel surfing on MTV, they go, what in the world is the hip hop guys Run-DMC doing with the Rolling Stones? And then the Aerosmith fans who knew it wasn't the Rolling Stones, it was, what in the world is Aerosmith doing with the hip hop guys Run-DMC? The reason why that was so shocking, but it did move something. I mean, it gave birth to Rage Against the Machine and Limp Bizkit, Korn, like everything that music is doing with collaborations of different genre is because of what Run-DMC and Aerosmith did. But the reason why it worked prior to that, when you look back in music history, everything that is powerful and perfect about us as the human race is always in front of our faces, but we refuse to ignore it. It is only the arts that bring these things to light. Because of Aerosmith and Run-DMC working together, we were able to look back and say, oh, it was already being done. What do you mean? When you look at the Beatles, the fifth member of the Beatles was Billy Preston. He was known as the fifth Beatle. Even when they did their last show on the roof, they had to have Billy Preston there.
Wow.
When you look at Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Clarence Clemens, the black man playing the
saxophone,
right. Muddy Waters. There's a video where Muddy Waters is performing in England, and the Stones, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are in the crowd like little kids, and Muddy Waters calls them up on us. So all of these things was always there for us. That's why Walk This Way was the game changer, because you saw Run-DMC and you saw Aerosmith together.
Yeah. Huge. Just, I mean, it really a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And I just stumbled across Sing for the Moment as a mix with Aerosmith and Eminem, which I don't know how long that's been out, but I just tripped upon that one.
Because they use Dream On.
Yeah,
Sing, exactly.
And did you?
And hip hop is good for that, because Grandmaster Caz, Grandmaster Caz from one of the greatest hip hop groups ever, he says hip hop didn't invent anything. We reinvented everything. We took all the music that we were hearing our mothers, aunts, uncles, grandmothers, and grandfathers listening to. We took that music, and by that music existing, by music being in existence, it gave us a platform to tell our stories.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to have permission. And we were able to use the music. We was able to use art. And art allows you to not have to ask for permission to be heard or be seen. You know what I'm saying? And and when you do it like that, beautiful things happen.
Yeah. Have you seen that? What you're saying reminds me of just a beautiful, beautiful scene. I've probably rewatched it 4 times at this point. I'll probably have to watch it again after we've talked. Have you seen the movie Sinners yet?
Yes.
Do you remember that scene in the juke joint where, it's going to make me cry talking about it. It is so moving to go through, the way they shoot it, the way the music, oh my gosh.
And then it shows that all of this is connected.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The Africans, the Indians,
then
they brought the hip hop in there. And that's the whole key to that is all the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's all the same thing of different expressions. It's like when we was doing this, once we did the Run-DMC thing, you remember the punk rock group or rap group, hip hop group, the Beastie Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Before Eminem, there was the Beastie Boys. And when the Beastie Boys, Rick Rubin was the producer and DJ for the Beastie Boys. Once Rick started producing us, Rick asked Jam Master Jason, Do you think these three white Jewish punk rock guys from Manhattan, do you think they can make a hip hop album? Jay, the black hip hop DJ that's at the pinnacle, the throne, sitting on the throne of hip hop, says to Rick, yes. And by Jay saying, why not? A couple of months later, License to Ill comes out by the Beastie Boys. But we were already doing it. When you look at an artist like Billy Joel, remember his song "We Didn't Start the Fire"?
Mm-hmm.
He was rapping. Segregation, integration, elimination, integration. We didn't start the fire. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For us to do Walk This Way Over, Jay had to say, don't sing it like Steven Tyler. He's doing what he do. Take those lyrics and rap them the way Run-DMC would. Backseat lover, how to need to cover, talk to my daddy, say. It's all the same things. And like all my Jewish friends, all my European friends, all my Asian friends, all my African friends, we talk about the music, the songs, the comic book, the stories, the TV shows. It's all about communication. And when you look at the Beastie Boys, they're punk rock and hip hop, rock, pop, folk. It's different sounds, different deliveries, different things, but it's all coming from the same place.
Yeah.
So Walk This Way was like, oh, we get it now. We were already doing it, but a lot of us were afraid to do it because we thought of what people would think. And, everybody trying to stay in their own lane, not realizing, I don't care if it's Italian food, Chinese food, or Jamaican food. It's all still food.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Well, that's maybe this is a good segue from one of the things you talked about with your image of being the king of rock. So I want to talk a little bit about your memoirs. So thus far, because I think there's probably more coming, but thus far you've written two. The first in 2021 was entitled King of Rock, Respect, Responsibility in My Life with Run-DMC, which Will Smith, very cool, did the introduction to. And more recently, 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide, a memoir, which I recently just finished, and I'd like to discuss it with you. But before we get into that, I want to first share what a couple of other notables have said about it. Chuck D of Public Enemy said, DMC's must-read memoir ventures into uncharted territory for all musicians, period, not just hip-hop artists. His honesty about his feelings easily makes this book an achievement that ranks alongside his Hall of Fame rhymes. Queen Latifah said, Darryl DMC McDaniels is a deeply talented artist who has much to teach us. I applaud his courage and compassion in sharing his personal story. 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide is an inspiring read for all audiences. And Darryl, I have to agree, it was moving. It was a great work. I learned a lot that, I did not know. I have to tip my hat to you about the honesty and transparency about a lot of your very dark moments. And I didn't know that you had lost your voice and been diagnosed with spasmodic dysphonia. So maybe start with that. Tell us about that, and then let's go from there.
So this all started with, all right, let me start like this. In 1993, the same thing this is funny too. In 1993, the same thing Run-DMC did for Aerosmith, somebody did for us. Pete Rock of the group Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Pete Rock is one of the greatest hip hop producers ever, who was like everybody else after us. Y'all inspired us to be this, from Ice Cube to Ice-T to Pete Rock to Naughty Boy to Eminem. Eminem actually did our rock and roll induction Hall of Fame speech. So in 1993, Run-DMC, from 83 to 93, there was nothing more powerful than Run-DMC. But we gave birth to everybody from Tupac to Biggie to Naughty by Nature to Eminem. Everything that's going on is because of us. So we were well respected. And we were the OGs, we were the pioneers. Everybody called us the reason why, but we wasn't participating as much. So Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Pete Rock at the height of his reign, he goes, I'm going to do a song with Run-DMC, and we're going to do their first song over Sucker MCs. So he produces this record called Down with the King for us.
Uh-huh.
And me and Run rapped on it with him and CL Smooth. That record put us back on the chart, back on MTV, back on the road. So here we are now, and literally, because they did that for us, everywhere we went, people was calling us the Kings, but now, Doc, everywhere we go, people literally bow when me, Run, and Jay walk in the room.
Wow.
And we are ashamed. No, don't do that. No, they're like, no, we're bowing. And people would literally kneel and hold us up on a pedestal.
Wow.
When that happened, I don't know why, I got depressed, suicidal. I remember the day the Down with the King video came out. And Down with the King, everybody from Redman and Method Man to Eazy-E came to show up and give us love.
Wow.
When the video dropped, I'm going, here I am back on the chart, back on MTV, back on the road, back on the radio. Why do I want to kill myself? And I didn't know what it was. So it started with the depression. And like people say, like it's known, what manifests internally will start to manifest on the exterior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get depressed. I don't know what it is. And then my voice just starts leaving. So now that my voice is leaving, I'm depressed.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot to add that prior to Down with the King coming out, in 1990, I was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis.
Oh,
So
right.
I had to stop drinking.
Yeah.
I was drinking in the hood. There was a brand called Old English 800, and they would make these 40-ounce bottles of it.
Mm-hmm.
It started with 32 ounces, and then they started selling so good. It was like, we're going to give them 40 ounces.
Oh, wow.
So some people in the neighborhood was drinking 2 and 3. I was drinking a case a day. So that should have been a sign something was wrong with me. But the problem with that, and in a lot of communities, a lot of harmful, destructive behavior is celebrated in our communities.
Yeah.
Meaning,
Yeah.
the guy or the girl that has sex with everybody, the guy that beats everybody up, the guy that takes the most shots. In my situation, it's normal to drink 3 and 4 40s. DMC, Darryl, he drinks 12. Let's salute him. Like, it's a great feat.
Mm.
So because of that, in addition, and this is 12 40 ounces during the day. I'm still going out at night. I'm still on tour. So now I'm hanging with Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, and Johnny Walker.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
So imagine that, alcohol 24 hours a day.
Oh.
So in 1990, I get acute pancreatitis. I get in the hospital for a month and a half. I couldn't take it internally. I had to have everything done intravenously.
Wow.
When I healed, fortunately, my liver was good. And that my liver was good. My pancreas wasn't damaged. The doctor tells me, son, we're going to let you go home now, but you have 2 choices. And I'm like, what's that? You can drink and live. You can drink and die, or drink and live. So, Doc, I did good. From 90 to 93, I'm doing good. Now I am back at the top of my game, and I'm depressed. I didn't know what to do. So my voice starts leaving. And you got to understand, at the time when I first got depressed, even though I'm DMC, the mighty DMC who walked this way in his Adidas to tell the world how tricky life could be, I didn't know what to do. So the depression comes on. My voice starts leaving, Chris. So then your mind starts going, oh, you can't rap no more. You have no purpose here in this universe. Because imagine, from the day I got out of high school, this has been my life.
Right.
Now I can't do the thing I think I was put here to do. So now the suicidal thoughts come in.
Oh.
So I get depressed, my voice leaves. Now I'm suicidal. And then the feeling that I have in me is going, if I die tomorrow, people know what the DMC guy did. And I'm dealing with all of these emotions. And then I go, just in case I kill myself tomorrow, I want people to know who the DMC guy is. So I decide to write the book, which is the second book, which turned into 10 Ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, the first book, not my adoption, I decided to write the book Respect, Responsibility, King of Rock, My Life in Run-DMC.
Mm-hmm.
So what had happened was people know what me, Run, and Jay did. I know I'm born May 31st, 1964, but just to make it more interesting for the reader, I want some details about the day I was born. So I called my mother up. Now, looking back, I should have said, Mom, I'm depressed. I don't know what's going on. But the whole stigma with mental
Right,
health.
right.
I don't want to trouble her. I'm
Yeah,
supposed to be strong.
right.
Men don't do this, the whole thing. So I didn't bother about going down and telling my real truth. So I go, Mom, I'm writing this book and I know my birthday is May 31st, 1964. I need some details on, the day I was born. How much did I weigh? She told me. What time? What time I was born? She told me. What hospital? She told me. Thank you, Mom. I love you. I love you too, son. And hang up. Now this is crazy.
Uh-huh.
An hour goes by, the phone rings. It's my mother and my father. Just because I asked these questions,
Uh-huh.
they go, we have something else to tell you. I go, what? I'm depressed. I'm alcoholic. I'm suicidal. They go, we have something else to tell you. I'm thinking they're going to go, well, when I gave birth to you, there was a power outage in the hospital and we gave birth to you by candlelight. I'm thinking it was going to be one of those stories. They
Right.
go, no,
Yeah.
we have something else to tell you. What? Well, you was a month old when you was a month old when we brought you home and you're adopted, but we love you. Bye. Click.
Oh, gee.
So imagine how I was,
Oh, damn.
no voice,
Oh, gosh.
depressed, suicidal. So immediately when I had heard that revelation, somebody get Johnny and Jack and Jim in here.
Yeah.
So I started drinking again.
Oh, gosh. Oh, wow.
So I didn't even have an opportunity to deal with the suicide.
And you're you're in your 30s at this point when you hear
Yeah, I'm
this,
35
right?
years old.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
35 years old. Yep.
Gosh.
So not knowing, even though, like I said, the crazy thing is I'm DMC, not knowing what to do, self-medication. Let me go back to the thing that worked, you know what I'm saying, for me.
Right. Yeah.
But that I'm not supposed to be drinking because I had pancreatitis. Subconsciously, I found a way to kill myself.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have to step on the third rail. I didn't have to hang myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have to shoot myself.
Yeah.
All I got to do is just drink this and I'll die in peace.
Yeah.
And I won't have to deal with what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But in the midst of that, I just found out that I was adopted. So that even made it worse.
God. Whew. So
Imagine what I was dealing with.
Well, and I think so that happens, and then the struggle kind of resumes, and like then you lost Jay, and then shortly thereafter your dad.
Yeah.
Is that all kind of proximate to this time about the?
Yes, it went like this.
Oh, it just kept piling on.
Yes, this was crazy.
Oh.
I get depressed. I get depressed. I lose my voice. I get suicidal. I find out that I'm adopted. Jam Master Jay gets shot and killed, and then my father dies. So imagine where I was at. And now all during this time, I'm self-medicating. I'm driving my wife crazy. I just had my son. My son was born in 93. And it's crazy how life works. All of this hit at the same. So my wife is going crazy. She's mad at me because she's going, excuse my language, motherfucker, you ain't supposed to be drinking because you have pancreatitis and you got me and your son.
Yeah.
So, I'm in an alcoholic stupor. She's over and over telling me, go to rehab, go to rehab, go to rehab. And she can't do it no more. And then my friends is telling me, my management, my friends that I grew up in the music, go to rehab, go to rehab. But I'm like, no, I'm okay because I got Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, and Johnny Walker.
Yeah. My treatment team.
Yes.
Wow.
So imagine what I was going through. So that was going on and on and on and on. My wife screaming at me, telling me go to rehab. And then Leo Cohen, who used to be my road manager during the rise of the whole Run-DMC kingdom, he is now the head of Def Jam Records. He's this big record exec. He's telling me go to rehab, this and that, boom, bang. And it was just crazy. Like, it was ridiculous. And then it just got to a point where I said, it got to a point where my wife goes, Darryl, I think you should. I think what's going on with you is there's an emptiness in who you are as your identity. I think you should find your birth mother.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh hell no, I don't want. You heard the records like at Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. I didn't know at the time that Hollis wasn't the beginning of my story. The
Yeah.
way we started this talk out, and what happened with that, my wife's in my ear. You should find your brother. I'm thinking that'll help you. That'll fill the void.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Down with the King came out, and I'm back on the road, I'm back on the radio, I'm back on tour, and I'm back on the charts and doing everything I was doing for the last 10 years, there was something that was missing. And when I look back, the missing piece is this. I'm Darryl McDaniels. One of the greatest rhymes is a 1 minute and 30-second record on the album Raising Hell with Walk This Way and Adidas, where I go, son of Byford, brother of Al, banners my mother, runs my pal. It's McDaniels, not McDonald's. These rhymes are Darryl's, those burgers are Ronald's. I ran down my family tree, my mother, my father, my brother, and me. Okay, that's my truth, but the missing fact to who I am, DMC, I'm the king of rock who walked his way in his Adidas to tell the world how tricky life can be. I didn't know life was so tricky that there was another part to my identity, the fact that I was adopted.
Wow.
So all of this happens, Down with the King, Jay getting shot, father dying. Now I'm alcoholic, self-medicating, this and that. And everybody's telling me, go to rehab, go to rehab. My wife is telling me, maybe if you find your birth mother, this will help you in some way. Maybe that's the missing link to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until a friend of a friend heard that I just found out that I was adopted. A week earlier, this friend was meeting with his friend, who was a lady who knew she was adopted since she was 14, but she was in the process of searching for her birth parents.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept hitting dead ends, and she was depressed. So this one friend was like, I don't know. And I love the way this came about. I'm going through all of this, and they just said, it was actually, she's a casting director in LA. Her name is Sheila Jaffe.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to know who she cast Sopranos, Entourage, Travolta, Mark Wahlberg. Like, she's a big casting director.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, she was doing a search for her birth parents, and because she wasn't getting nowhere, she was depressed.
Wow.
So her agent friend who I was meeting with, because my manager Eric wanted me to. They was like, my manager and my publicist was like, keep them busy, keep them working, because even they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get me to do this movie, but then when the agent that I met with found out that I was depressed because I just found out that I was adopted, he goes, I don't know how this possibly could help you, but just somebody I think you should talk to. And I didn't know this was like therapy. Mm-hmm. I didn't know this was like this was hands-on training of how therapy works. So all he did was introduce me to Sheila. And all me and Sheila did was go to lunch one day and speak about being adopted. And it was one of the greatest things that could ever happen to me.
Wow.
And then Sheila goes, oh, Darryl, by the way, Mark Wahlberg, one of her clients, once a month, Mark Wahlberg gives us his offices in Santa Monica, California, where we go in and we have Adoption Anonymous meetings. And I was like, what's that about?
Wow.
He said, it's just adopted people from all walks of life, all nations, all race, creed, religions, races, and colors. We just go in a room and talk. So I go to these Adoption Anonymous, and we go to about 7 of them. And in the 7th one, they asked me, D, don't you want to know who your birth parents are? And I go, nope, don't give me that. I'm trying to heal right now. I was trying to stay far, far away from that. And in addition, with my wife in my ear, I think you should find your birth parents. Something came upon me to say, okay, you know what? I got to go. And I didn't want to. I should go look at seeing who my birth parents was. The catalyst, this is very powerful. The catalyst, Chris, was this. In the Adoption Anonymous meeting, another adoptee said, well, there's this famous adoptee lady who's not a celebrity. She's just famous because she said this. She said, the reason why an adoptee should search. Now, you don't have to. Your life, you write your story. Nobody else can write it for you. And I have many adopted friends that said, no, I don't need to know because, I'm good. And that's their right. But this would blew my mind. You got to remember, I'm a comic book brain. Like I imagine everything I do in life is me pretending to be a superhero. So the thing that was the catalyst to me being healed was this. This lady in the Adoption Anonymous meeting goes, the reason why an adoptee should search besides medical, and this is key. Now, my father, Byford, when I was filling out job applications, my father had diabetes. So when I would fill out I would write diabetes. That was my truth.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know who real birth father and birth mother were. So she said the reason why an adoptee should, if you don't have to, should besides medical. This is so powerful, Chris. And I go, what? Why should I do it? You never start a book from chapter 2. So I was living my life, my Run-DMC journey from day one in Hollis didn't include chapter 1.
Wow.
So when I came back in 93 and something hit me, there's something missing to this run. It was the fact that there was a chapter 1 to my existence. When she said that to me, I remember what my wife said. I think you finding your birth should help you. And then my fellow adoptees being instigators, you should do it. I said, okay, if I'm going to go down chapter 1, I got to be of sound mind. You know the saying, sound mind and body?
Mm-hmm.
The saying isn't sound body and mind. Because if the mind ain't right first, the body reacts to that. So I said, in order for me to go find my chapter 1, I got to be of sound mind and body. So the first thing I have to do is go to rehab to get sober. So I went to rehab to get sober, but it was in rehab I found my superpower, and that was this thing called therapy. So all of this trauma, all of this mystery, all the elements from David McGeechan breaking the rim to me being brought to Hollis to meet Run, Byford, Banner, disco. This is crazy. Disco, hip hop, all brought at me so I could find my chapter 1. And it made me realize to this day, first to go gold, first to go platinum, first on the cover of Rolling Stone, take the Spice Girls out of #1, first non-athletic entity to receive a major sports endorsement from the Adidas Corporation, and I'm not even an athlete. All of those things are cool, but my story made me realize that the Run-DMC stuff was just a setup for what I was put here to do. And my greatest achievement is I'm living, breathing proof that you can beat and defeat whatever it is that you're struggling with. And more importantly, no matter how bad, dark, effed up, or traumatic your story is, you are perfect just the way you are. So I want people to hear my story. I want them to listen to the records. I want them to get the children's book, the comic book. I want them to get both of the books that I'm written. Like eventually I got to write another one because my memoir is my story up till now.
Right.
Yeah. So usually it's up to I'm dead. So I still got more that I'm doing. But I represent that all of us have a beautiful story and all of us have a reason to be alive. And that is this, not to be the best guitar player, best basketball player, not to be the billionaire, not to be none of that. There's everyday people who are kings and queens and royalty because their story, their existence, what they've been through, the hard times and the good times, you can save a life. Beautiful. And that's what I represent.
Beautiful.
But my story had to come the same way. This is crazy too. I didn't know this until I meet a friend who says, D, man, I saw your story, man. And, I know that you love hip hop and comic books and you can draw and all of that. But he says to me, the guy that made me start my comic book company, Darryl Makes Comics, he goes, you really are on some superhero stuff. And I'm like, what you talking about? And Chris, he hit me with this. This is after I came out of rehab and I'm in therapy and I'm talking about it. And the reason why the reason why I'm able to talk about it this way is one of the things with hip hop, not from the music business standpoint, one of the things that you could never do with hip hop, we have a saying, keep it real. Mm-hmm. So when I got out of rehab, people would see me. Yo, I see Run, I see Russell, I see this, I see that. I see Joe with his kids. Because my partner Run, after Jam Master Jay got shot and killed, my partner Run had a successful reality TV show for 10 seasons called Run's House. So people knew what Run was doing, but for 10 seasons, after Jay died, DMC disappeared. So hip hop has one of these values called keep it real. So when I get out of rehab, I was in rehab for a whole month, right? I get out of rehab and I go back to 7-Eleven. I'm back in the airport. I'm back in the gym. First question of people is, DMC, where you been? Why you ain't on Run House? What's going on? Number one, the reason why Run-DMC, hold on. The reason why Run-DMC ain't together is because Jam Master Jay passed away. Mm-hmm. I'll text you when I'm off. The reason why Run-DMC ain't together is because Jam Master Jay passed away. And my joke is this, you're going to love this. I tell people this, Chris. Run-DMC will get back together if this happens. What? Run-DMC will get back together when the Beatles get back together. Everybody when I say that to, they laugh. And that happened, no. But you got to understand, the group was Run-DMC and Jam Master Jay.
Yeah.
Beatles was, John and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need. So I say that, but then they go, so what's up with you, D? And I go, well, I was an alcoholic, suicidal, metaphysical, spiritual wreck who found out he was adopted at age 35. Jam Master Jay got shot and killed, and then my died. And I got out of rehab and therapy. And then they go, what? Their minds are blown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I share that, what I'm trying to do is, one of my greatest raps is this. If you remove guilt and shame from your situation, you remove the pain of going through the struggle to better or heal yourself.
Yeah.
Like whatever happened to you is painful. But if we take guilt and shame, we shouldn't be ashamed of being alcoholic. You shouldn't be ashamed of being on meth. You shouldn't be ashamed of being a foster kid or adopt a kid at home. When you remove your situation, but it doesn't define you.
Exactly.
So if you remove guilt and shame, and people go, that's really deep, D. Yeah, because this is what I'm talking about. Nobody in this world feels ashamed or guilty to that. When I see you, Chris, at work or whatever, or if you're a family member, whatever, if I see you, I'm not ashamed and I don't feel guilty to go, yo, my tooth is hurting. Because if I say that to you, you're going to go, yo, go to the dentist. If I say, yo, Chris, I just got out the gym and I think I did something wrong, you're going to say, yo, go see the doctor, go see the chiropractor. And I'll never forget this. And this is what I'm talking about with mental health. Sex addicts, gambling addicts, alcoholics, meth, whatever it is, OCD, all the stuff that goes with mental health that people think is weird. Number one, everybody goes through something. Mm-hmm. But number two, I'll never forget this. And this is what makes it easy for me to talk about it without guilt and shame. I'll never forget. Let's go back to the beginning of this discussion. In second grade, right? I'm sitting there, Miss Peterson, she noticed something's going on with this kid, Darryl McDaniels. And I'm not knowing what's going on, but I didn't find out until one day my mother comes pick me up, right? I'm standing there being all normal, and Miss Peterson goes to my mother right in front of my face. Miss McDaniels, can I talk to you for a minute? What? Yeah, yes, okay, what's up, Miss Peterson? I think there's something wrong with Darryl. So, a little second grade, I look at Miss Peterson like, what the hell are you talking about? I can draw, I got my comic books. And then Miss Peterson with no shame goes, I think Darryl needs glasses because I noticed when I look at him, he's squinting to see the blackboard. Huh. And my mother did that. My mother took me to get an eye examination. And that's the reason why Darryl makes glasses. A flaw in me, a weakness that when I started making my rap records, I would go, I'm DMC in the place to be, D's for doing it all of the time, M's for the rhymes that are all mine, C's for cool, cool ass can beat. And Rum would say, D, why you wear those glasses? And I would go, all right, so I can sing. So, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the same way you would tell me, yo, D, go to the dentist, go to the eye doctor. It's the same way people got to start noticing the people around them, friends, family, co-workers. All day we see people, you know, you work with people for 40 years, 30 years, 3 months, you know, years. And every day you ask them, yo, how you doing today? And they go, I'm all right. No, we got to look people in the eye and say, yo, if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you, because you never know what they're going through, but they're guilty and ashamed to tell you
Yeah.
because they might think you might think they're weird.
Yeah.
So me being like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, suicidal, metaphysical, spiritual wreck who found out he was adopted at age 35. My friend got shot and killed and my father died. But I went to rehab and I went to therapy and I was able to do something about it. So keeping it real will save a life.
Yeah.
So if we're not guilty and ashamed, remove the guilt and shame and you remove the pain of what you're going through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's,
And that once you remove guilt and shame, it allows you to heal. Removing guilt and shame doesn't heal you automatically because you still got to go through the journey.
mm-hmm. It opens up the process, and it, you know, I think
Yes.
it's the yin and yang of it too, because as you talk about it from a point of bravery and commitment about transparency and honesty and keeping it real,
Right.
it's also the other flip side of it. It's responsibility to whoever else is in our lives to not be
Exactly.
judgmental, to be
That's
accepting, like your wife, you know, to be so loving
yep.
and supportive in a way, you know, a tough, lovish kind of way. But you know, I think
Yep.
that's huge.
Yeah, like in the book, when I first started drinking after I found out that I was adopted, my excuse was I'm celebrating, I'm burping and hiccuping and I'm pissy drunk on. I'm celebrating the new revelation of my newfound identity. My wife, she said, Emma Effa, and I'll never forget this. I remember this when the day she said it and it hit me at my core. She said, Emma Effa, you're only drinking because you can't emotionally deal with the fact that you just found out you was adopted.
Wow.
And that was something no therapist, no
Yeah.
PhD, because she kept it real. That's
Yeah.
why, you know, it's people
Bullseye.
that are close to you, you know.
Yep.
And I look back, I was like, you know, when I got to therapy, I realized therapy did two things for me. Reminded me of stuff that I said to myself that I didn't listen to, and reminded me of all the stuff that other people said to me that I
I
didn't
didn't
listen
listen
to.
to. That's
So
good.
now therapy allows you to sit here and listen to it and be honest with yourself.
I love it.
But that's so crazy that, oh, what I was going to say about the comic book. So my friend calls me. I got the courage now, Chris, to talk about, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, this and that, boom, bang. But my friend who made me start the comic book, because he said this, he said, D, you could do the same thing you've done with your music all these years. And I'm like, what that? Inspire, motivate, and educate while you entertain. His name is Riggs Morales. And this is funny. He was actually Eminem's A&R over at Shady Records for Eminem's record company,
Wow.
who inducted me into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was actually part of Eminem's rise of his kingdom.
Wow.
But then he says this to me, and this is going to send chills to everybody. He says, D, you really are a superhero. He said, when I heard the Run-DMC records and I looked at you with your glasses and your hat and your gloves and your Adidas suit and your Adidas and your gold chain, it was like you was my superhero the way you was dressed up. But then he hit me with this, D, this is crazy. You are actually like what you was attracted to in me as a kid. And I said, what you talking about? He said, don't you know most superheroes are adopted or in a foster situation?
Oh.
Superman.
Yeah.
What happened to me is what happened to Clark. Sit down. There's something we need to tell you. We are your parents and we love you very much. But imagine being told from another world, you're an alien, this and that. You would sit here. Batman. Then he started hitting me with this. Then he hit me with Batman. Saw his mother and father murdered in front of him.
Right.
Most of us are trying. Superman saw his whole world destroyed.
Yeah.
But still was able to serve a purpose.
Wow.
Batman saw his mother and father murdered in front of him. And
Hmm.
still to this day, he'll catch the criminal, but he won't lower his emotional, physical, spiritual self to their level. He won't kill him. He'll
Hmm.
just catch him, throw him back in jail, but he won't lower. Then he hit me with this. This is the killer one. I grew up in New York City. When I found out that Peter Parker was from Queens like me, the reason why I shout out my hood on the record isn't because it's a hip hop thing and I'm repping my hood. When I found out as a kid, Spider-Man from Queens like me, it was real. He hits me with this, D, your idol, Peter Parker. And I'm like, what you talking about? Peter Parker lost his parents, had to be raised by Aunt May.
Right. Yeah.
So, Chris, everything that I saw in the superheroes wasn't just because that I liked the way the art looked. I was just like them. And then my therapist says this to me. She says, D, see, your subconscious had a connection to Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. You came from the same situations they did, but you didn't know that.
Yeah.
You thought it was just being educated and smart and geeky and nerdy. That was part of it, but you didn't even know about that
Wow.
characteristic. And then she said this, what got you through all of those times before you started depending on alcohol, something outside of you to give you strength? Because I started reaching for the alcohol in rehab. I was diagnosed with suppressed emotions.
Hmm.
I was using the alcohol to suppress my true feelings because I didn't want to deal with them.
Wow.
She said outside of the alcohol and all of you was reaching for that, thinking that was empowering, giving you power like the Hulk, but it was taking it away from you like Superman's kryptonite. But since she said this, what got you from falling into the pit of depression in the early years before you started depending on Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, Johnny Walker, and Old English? I was like, what? She said this to me. Don't you know most of your records that you made that are heard around the globe, they start with two of the most powerful words ever. And I'm like, what? I am. She said, on your first record, you said, I am DMC in the place to be. I'm going to St. John. You went to St. John's University. On your other record, you said, I am the son of Byford, brother. You said, I am the king of rock. You said, I am the microphone master. You said, I am the devastating mic. You said, I am Darryl McDaniels. You said, I am Darryl. You can call me Darryl. She said, all of those I ams were
Wow.
powerful, emotional, spiritual affirmations that didn't allow that darkness from your situation to seek in. When it started seeking in after you couldn't drink no more, it opened up. You know, it's almost like a Greek story where, oh my God, he's about to kill himself. Poseidon, run down, Mercury, run down there. Zeus sends Mercury, run down there and reveal to him here, Darryl, don't jump. Why? Because you're the son of a god. You're called the microphone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow.
So it's crazy. But when my friend said that, he said, D, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, and the whole. And what's crazy, he said, D, it's not just humans that go through it. He says the Martians. Look at Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Luke.
Yeah.
So all
Right.
like there's something going on with pop culture that are just telling people their truths in a
Yeah.
way. That's why we become fans of stuff.
Yeah.
We're so attracted to stuff because we see ourselves in it. So my hip hop story is my hip hop musical career journey is no different from the journey of all the superheroes that I've fell in love with, because most superheroes are dealing with so much trauma in their life, but they're still able to find purpose
Hmm.
and a way to heal.
And helping others too.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so I want to. Are you good for time? I have a couple other things I'd like to circle
Yep.
back to.
I'm
Okay,
good.
awesome, good.
Yep.
Well, a couple of things. I mean, you've also kind of teed these up nicely. You mentioned meeting with Sheila Jaffe, and I
Yep.
know that you guys co-founded, I believe, if again, fact check me, that you guys co-founded the Felix organization. So I want to talk
Yes.
about that. And maybe
Yep.
to tee that up, share the story about the impact of, and again, this gets back to the whole music and you can't really separate genres and all, how music impacts us, etc. You are very much
Right.
impacted by Sarah McLachlan's song Angel. So
Yeah, Angel.
talk about that in the context of, the adoption and Felix organization and
Yep.
share those stories.
Yes, that was the revelation of the purpose. While I was struggling, everybody's go to rehab, this and that, this and that. I'm thinking, I'm killing myself while thinking of killing myself. So I come home from Europe, and you got to understand, I can't rhyme no more, but I had to keep doing the shows with Run-DMC so I could get the check to make sure the bills are paid.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going out there every night feeling like crap. Run-DMC are helping me. They're doing the vocals with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't got no voice, but people are so happy to see us all moving together. You can't tell unless you listen. And I meet people and say, man, I saw you on the 94. I couldn't hear one word you were saying. And then I tell them why and all that. So I come home. Oh, this is a beautiful story. This is one of the reasons that I said, I'm really not meant to be here. And it's stupid, but it makes sense of why I should really commit suicide. We coming home from Europe, and my travel agent calls me, my travel agent of the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Most dependable travel agent ever. She knows everything about us, but preference and everything. So she calls me. Now you got to remember, I'm suicidal, I'm depressed, I have no voice, I'm alcoholic, all that. She calls me and she says, Darryl, I got really bad news. And the way she says it, I'm thinking somebody died, right?
Right.
She
Right.
goes like this. I done moved from Queens and I'm living in Jersey. I'm married. I got a kid. So she calls me and says, Darryl, I have really bad news. I'm like, oh my God, what is it? What is it? She says this. There are no flights into Newark. You got to go to JFK. So right away, my stigmatized mental health brain goes, see, you gotta commit suicide now.
That was the trigger.
Yes, you don't want to go to JFK if you live in Jersey. So I gotta fly into JFK, and now that just lowered me to my lowest point. I get to JFK. She's like, the driver will be waiting for you with the sign. I get to the baggage claim. The driver's standing. How you doing, Mr. McDaniels? Boom, boom, whatever. Gets the bag. We get in the car and we driving out of JFK. There's about 3 lights to JFK. So I'm in the back, head down, thinking I'm really killing myself because this is the last straw. This is proof from God that I don't need to be on earth because this sums it all up. But I could feel this energy on the top of my head. So I would look up, and every time I would look in the driver's rear view, I could see that he turned his head. So I put my head back down. We driving a little bit. I feel this energy. I look up. I catch him again. So he turns away. So on the third light, I said, you know what? I'm going to keep my head up, and I'm going to keep staring at the rear view mirror. So he sneakily tries to stare at me again because it's DMC in his back seat.
Yeah.
We lock eyes. So when we lock eyes, he turns to me and says, DMC, please don't get me fired. And he says this to me. As a little kid, I had one of the worst lives ever. My parents really sucked, but the thing that got me here to survive is I would take your cassette in my Walkman in my room, and I would listen to your music.
Wow.
It helped me survive. I had the worst childhood ever, but your music saved me.
Oh.
Can I get a picture?
Oh.
I go, oh my God. I forgot about I'm alcoholic, I'm depressed, I can't talk. I go, that just hit me in the heart. And I go, man, that not only could you get a picture, I'll give you an autograph. So he's like, really? Don't tell my boss. I said, I would never do that to him. So now he's up in air, and he asked, he's open now. We connected. So he goes, can I turn the radio on now? And I'm like, yeah. So he turns it to Hot 97, the hip hop station in New York. That's the last thing I wanted to hear. Because I can't even rap no more.
Sure.
And I go, and shocked.
Gosh.
Turn it to anything except that. And the way I said it was like, turn it. And he's like, oh, okay. So he turns it to Light FM. I'll never forget this day. He turns it to Light FM. And all of a sudden, I hear this beautiful angelic piano. And then I hear this angel voice saying, in the arms of an angel. And I hear Sarah McLachlan's Angel. And something in me Something in me says, D, even though you're at the worst right now, because something this beautiful exists, it's good to be alive.
Mm.
So for one whole year, all I did was listen to Sarah McLachlan's Angel. I got home and I said, I'm not telling my wife what's going on.
Uh-huh.
At the time, she had the movie City of Angels with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
Him and Meg Ryan.
Yep.
And that was the song on the soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
So for me here in the car, I go home and every time I would say something, if it's food or if it's a music or song, my wife would go get it for me. So I went home and I was like, honey, did you hear that record by Sarah McLachlan, Angel? Yeah, I really like that song. Let's watch the. She goes, yeah, I want to watch the movie because she's into those love dramas, relationship dramas. She's into that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, this is a plus win-win for me. I said, honey, I really. So she goes out and buys me the soundtrack, and then she buys me Sarah McLachlan. She buys me the album with Building a Mystery. She buys me the greatest hits. So for one whole year, I'm listening to Sarah McLachlan. At the end of that year, my manager, Eric, says, D, him and my publicist is trying to still keep me working. So they go, yo, we got tickets to go to Clive Davis Grammy party. Now, I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. F Clive Davis, F the music business. I can't even rap no more. I'm not doing this and that. And they're convincing me, you got to go, you got to go, you got to go. And then my manager says, he looks at me and says, man, I worked really hard to get these tickets. And something in me said, he done sold his soul to the devil to go to Clive Davis' corny little Grammy party where all the biggest stars in the world are going to be. I care nothing about that. And I'm telling him, all I want to do is sit in my room and listen to Sarah McLachlan. And he goes, you can do that while we get to L.A. So he convinces me to go to the party. We go to the party. We get to the party. I said, I'm going to do it once around the room, and I'm going back to my room. And he's trying to be the manager, do the red carpet, whatever. And I start the countdown. You got me in for 1 hour, 59, 58, 57. So he walks away frustrated. I'll never forget this. Alicia Keys comes in. Oh, Darryl, how you doing? And I'm in my head. I'm going, well, Alicia Keys still likes you, even though you can't talk and you're a worthless piece of crap. That's a good reason to stay alive. Busta Rhymes comes in. And he comes over to me, D, I love you. Just he giving me love. And I say, even Busta still likes you, even though you can't rhyme or worthless. Now, people love when I say this like this. Stevie Wonder comes in, but he don't see me. His guide sees me. So Stevie Wonder's walking in, and his guide looks at me, and I could see in his eye, the guy's eye, oh shoot, that's DMC. So I see, I could read his lips. He whispers to Stevie, yo, Stevie, DMC's over there. He wants to meet you. So Stevie goes, sure, and they walk over to me, and Stevie Wonder comes over to me. Man, you guys Run-DMC, your music was so powerful. Like, Stevie is just like you cats. I love what you're doing. And Stevie walks away. Countdown, I'm at 2 minutes left. Eric's going to be mad at me. Guess who walks in? Sarah McLachlan.
Oh.
And I see her. Something in me says, D, go over to her and tell her what you've been doing for the last year. So I walk over to Sarah. She sees me coming. She's like, oh, Run-DMC, I love you. She starts going, it's tricky to rock around. She does what everybody does. They sing the song, walk this way, it's tricky. And she says, yo, I really like what you guys, whatever. And then I go, Miss McLachlan, before you go, I just want to tell you the name of the song is Angel. You sound like an angel. People say you're an angel, but you're not an angel to me. You're God to me, because I listen to that record every day. I'm depressed. I'm in the one of most, like, I just give it a whole spiel. And she's looking at me like I'm crazy, like, okay, I didn't expect that. But then she says this to me, God. She goes, thank you for telling me that, Darryl. That's what music is supposed to do.
Oh.
She walks away. 3 years later is when I find out that I'm adopted. So her music was part of a soundtrack that in the midst of all this crap, I would just put that song on, and for those 3 minutes, it'd be all right. So fast forward to me meeting Sheila, right? Mm-hmm. And going to the adoption meeting. And Sheila just says this to me. She says, Darryl, we were very fortunate, regardless of us being foster kids and being adopted and not being, we were very fortunate because along the way, outside of our birth parents getting us here, there was people put here to get us where we were supposed to go. And then Sheila goes, what about all those other kids that might not get adopted, who are in the foster care system? So we go, yeah, they deserve the opportunity to be the people that they were put here to be. So originally, me and Sheila wanted to start the Felix facilities. Now you might ask what that is. There's a film with Ben Crosby as a priest called A Boys Town, where the Catholic Church gives the orphans their own little city to grow up in, go into adulthood, without the parental assistance or whatever. They would be the guy. So me and Sheila said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to build Felix facilities that's going to give the foster kids life skills before they turn 18 and get aged out the system. Let's not wait until they're 18 and 19 and then go, what do you want to do? Where you want to be? Here's $5 in a sandwich. Go figure it out on yourself. Let's start them as elementary school kids. Let's find out who wants to be photographers and dancers and scientists and start now while they're kids and put them in that direction. So Sheila was good friends. You're going to love this story too. The listeners are going to love this too. Sheila was good friends with Michael Lang, the guy who created Woodstock. The original one, the guy that pulled that off. She said, if anybody can make things happen, it's the guy, my friend Michael. So we go to Michael Lang with this idea. We're going to build these Felix facilities in every city and state in America. And it's going to be a learning center. It's going to education and recreation. And we're just going to give this. And Michael goes, the guy who started Woodstock, he goes, guys, it's a wonderful idea, but you need to start small. Sheila, we disappointed. What do you mean we can do? He said, no, I'm not saying it can't be done, but you need to take baby steps. So we mad and this and that, but then he said, why don't you just start with a sleepaway camp? What you talking about, like Willis, like Arnold and Willis?
Right.
What you talking about, Michael? He said, start with a sleepaway camp where you could get the kids in a sleepaway, all the different foster kids, get them at a sleepaway camp for a week each, where they can see that they're not the only ones. Like, because he was like, now, when you found out at age 35, what did you think? I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. When I found out I was adopted at 35, I acted and knew I was the only adopted person on the face of the earth. And Sheila, when you found out at 14, because she found out when she was with her, I felt like I was the only, but then you find out there's a billion of y'all. So let's get the kids in the safe place. That's, some of the foster kids never left the block. They don't know what grass is. They don't know what a mountain and a lake and rock climbing and nature is. Let's get them there for a week and give them that. But while they're there, say, what is it that you want to be? Oh, I want to be a DJ. For that week, you get DJ lessons. I want to be a dancer. For that week, you get ballet lessons. I want to be a photographer. For that week, you get photography lessons. So it was Michael Lang, we call him the father of Felix, who said, start with a sleepaway camp, give the kids a life-changing experience, but while they're there, pour something into their lives. So 20 years ago, Sheila and me, we started the Felix organization. You can find more information about Camp Felix, which is a sleepaway camp for foster kids to give them guidance, life skills, and just let them be who they are regardless of their situation. So felixorganization.org. Okay. But it was the Sarah McLachlan record that when she said, thank you for telling me that, Darryl, that's what music is supposed to do. It made me remember what the guy in the car said to me. DMC, your music got me through the rougher times of my life. And then when she said that, I was like, whoa. And then what my friend Riggs Morales, who is my partner for my comic book, he said, D, the reason why you should do a comic book is, I'm like, why? You can do the same thing you've already been doing with your music for 40 years. Inspire, motivate, educate while you entertain. So everything was so connected.
Absolutely. So, and you're very good about segues and teeing up. So I mentioned in the intro about Darryl's dream, and I think when you and I had lunch together in New York, you mentioned that another edition or a sequel or the next version of that is coming out.
Yes.
Fill us in. What's that, and what's the timeline?
Daryl's Dream is a book. It's a story about me in the third grade. It deals with bullying, respecting each other, and having kids understand you don't have to be like everybody else. So Daryl's Dream is a story about me in the third grade wanting to say my poem. And all the other kids don't think poetry is cool, but I go do it anyway. I get a standing ovation. Now all the other kids want to do poetry. They want me to teach them. I could have said no, but I said, no, okay, I'll teach you, even though you didn't think I was cool. But I ain't going to teach you to do it like me. I'm going to teach you to do it the way you want to do it. So the book is called Daryl's Dream, to let kids know whatever it is that you like, Powerpuff Girls, Star Wars, everything that's so-called corny is actually your superpower. So we did Daryl's Dream to teach kids that dreams do come true because of you. If it's your dream, you don't need permission to be or whatever it is that you want to be. You get teased, bullied, and picked on, but the bullies don't realize they so busy looking at you, they ain't looking at the power that they have themselves. So we did Daryl's Dream. The next book is, well, there's a book before the second book. The second book in the Daryl's Dream adventure is called Daryl's Decision, which is now the third book, but it's a book where Daryl, as a young kid, has to make a decision between right and wrong. But in November, looking at my music catalog and things that bring people together that you wouldn't think bring people together, the same way Run-DMC brought Adidas and hip hop together and created a whole new fashion genre. The same way Run-DMC, we got together with Aerosmith and created a whole new music genre. I have a song called Christmas in Hollis, which we did for a very special Christmas where all the proceeds went to Special Olympics, which had a great purpose with Bruce Springsteen, Whitney Houston, Run-DMC, and a whole host of others. I got a song in there, and on that song, I got a rhyme that goes, Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. Mom's cooking chicken and collard greens, rice and stuffing macaroni and cheese. Santa put gifts under Christmas tree. So I do this rhyme about my Christmas, you know, growing up in Hollis, Queens. And when I walk in the mall, Jewish people, Muslim people, Asian people, it don't matter where they're from, they scream and rhyme at me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do a book called, for this holiday coming, and we're going to drop it in November, called Christmas in Hollis, showing my Christmas, but where Daryl, he needs new glasses because they break. And when he goes to the eye doctor to put on these glasses, they show him the Jewish traditions. They show him the African traditions. They show them the Muslim traditions. They show them the European traditions, where everybody has different music, food, and all that, but it's the same purpose: caring about one each other, sitting down with your friends and family, and having a good meal. So I took my Christmas in Hollis story that was already in existence, and I'm using it to teach the kids this is why we should respect and have love for one another. Even though we have different customs and traditions, when you look at it, it's all the same stuff. So that book is called Daryl's Christmas in Hollis. It's coming out in November.
Wonderful.
And then at the top of next year, we're going to release Daryl's Decision, which is back in school. And he has to make a decision between right and wrong. So the reason why, what's really cool about that is, the reason why I started doing the children's books is I was going to schools, elementary schools, and talking to kids about, you know, education, comic books, art, hip hop, and my story. And about, I would say, maybe 9 or 10 years ago, I spoke at these two teacher schools. And what's beautiful is they are now principals in their districts. But I spoke at their schools 3 or 4 times, and it was, Daryl, you should do a book. You should do a book. And I don't want to make money off of doing good. I do it from the heart. And they said, no, it's not about that, Daryl. He said, if you do a book, you can get this book in so many kids' hands, and you don't have to be there. You can still touch these kids' lives. So I actually did Daryl's Dreams with the 2 teachers. I said, here's the deal. I'll do the book, but y'all got to help me because y'all are on the front line with these kids every day. So y'all can tell me how to direct my story to relate with them. So their name is Shawnee and John A. Warfield. If you look at the books, their names are on there. So we did Daryl's Dream. Then we thought of, let's do a book for the holidays. that'll bring kids together. And then let's do the book of Darryl's decisions. So the plan is to have a series of 10 books. Darryl's Dream. Then we have the holiday book, which we could, promote every holiday to the kids. But then we have Darryl's Dream, Darryl's Decision. Darryl does, Darryl decides. Like,
That's
it's going to be
great.
Different situations for the kids.
Oh, I love it. So
I had to do it. I had to just, excuse me, one more time. I had to do it with educators to show that I can use my art to assist parents, teachers, and educators, so that the way I work with Adidas, the way I work with Aerosmith, if we all work together, we can do some phenomenal things that help everybody.
Yeah, you really, part of your DMC could be Darryl collaborates with Minnie.
Yes, Darryl's, my son, he does it all. He's like, Darryl makes chocolate. Funny, I did the Darryl makes cookies. I just released, I hooked up with a coffee company in Montclair, New Jersey called Paper Planes Coffee. We just did Darryl makes coffee. My son is like Darryl's magnificent collaboration.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, your creativity, your humanity, the things that you do, for others in such a generous kind of way, the way that you've impacted so many lives, just by your music, by your art, by your love, really. We've covered a lot of territory, but is there anything that we've missed that you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
Oh, no, not really. I think what's the one thing that I want to get across is that I was speaking in Cleveland one time at Barnes & Noble's when Darryl, when 10 Ways first came out, and this lady had brought her son to hear me. And she done tried everything with him, and he was just kept falling off the wagon, get sober, go right back. So she was like, I'm taking you, and she already done killed the kid by telling her how great Run-DMC and that era of hip hop is. So her last resort was, you're coming with me to see Darryl. He has a book talking about his struggles and all that. So, I'm doing the Barnes & Noble thing and I'm talking, he's sitting there. And I'm thinking he's not listening, but I could tell. And he's staring at me like he don't care.
Yeah.
But he's listening. And I do what I just did with you. At the end of that, when it's time to sign the books and, take pictures with people, she comes up on the line. His mother's a fan. We grew up together. So while we're there, she says, I brought my son. He's been struggling with some things. So he asked me, and her thing was this. He was like heavy metal, great guitar player, this and that, great songwriter, but he was never getting nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that was part of why he turned to drugs. I'm supposed to be Ozzy Osbourne, but why the world is keeping me from that? But you never know. It's probably so many other things, but that probably was one of them. So while we're standing there, he says, Mr. DMC, because, I'm old now. If I was 25, 30, it'd be like, yo, DMC, man. It says, Mr. DMC, give me one reason why I should be alive. Now, you thinking I might go, because you're a great guitar player and you share your talent with that. I didn't know what to say, but something in me said, not my story or any so-called celebrity story. The reason why, with all your struggles and all your pain and trauma, the reason why you should stay alive is your story, not mine, could save a life. And he just gave me this look like, that's crazy. And then like you can see his whole demeanor change.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I meet the lady, I see the lady, a couple of months later, because I'm in and out of Cleveland and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, how's it going? She's like, yo, so far so good. He's doing really good. And I'm like, what do you mean? What is he doing? Well, he's giving guitar lessons to kids in the neighborhood. So he probably realized, maybe I will never be Ozzy Osbourne, but if I'm able to play every day and help others, and he's playing in his local band, he's in a local band right now, doing the sleep in the van thing. Yeah. But it gave his, you have a purpose.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Those little things. It's like when Sarah McLachlan told me, I'm thinking, because I'm the devastating mic controller, king of rock, is why I'm on this microphone. But when Sarah McLachlan said, thank you for telling me that, Darryl, because that's what music is supposed to. Of course it's fun. Of course you get to go to Hollywood. But there's a deeper purpose in your existence, or to position, and it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or, if you're a celebrity, whatever it is. If you're, you own the milk company in your neighborhood. I meet people who says, man, it wasn't my accomplishment of having a successful business. I said, I had this one guy who has a pasta company. And, this is funny, Chris. This one guy who has a pasta company. His company is called OVO. But he wants to do Darryl's macaroni and cheese. DMC, because I rhymed about it on my records. But long story short,
sure, yeah, that was in the Christmas.
I was like, I didn't think of that one, but it makes sense because I go, Mom's cooking rice and stuff and macaroni and cheese, so he wants to do Darryl's macaroni and cheese. But he said, his father told him, son, I'm so proud of you, not for having a successful business and being a CEO. He said, I'm so proud of you because I came here to visit your factory and I'm looking at all the lives you impact.
Oh, boy.
All of these people that have jobs and can take care of your families. Wow. That's the winning thing. So whether it's music, whether it's what you're doing, what you're doing is, I look at it, if we are not ashamed to have conversations, because conversations bring about connection. Connection brings about collaboration, and it's collaboration that brings about transformation.
Yeah.
That's the whole, now when I look at all of that, now all the art, all the music, all the discos, all the genres, all the different people, all the different stuff that we collaborate into a presentation is the thing that brings about transformation for every person, and not just the person doing it. Inspiration is a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I run a nonprofit, and I tell you, there is very little. I mean, I have a lot of things I'm very happy in my life, but the joy that comes from, just giving and feeling like, and not doing it, and actually not even kind of doing it for that. I mean, I kind of become a nerd, and I do the work, and then all of a sudden it's sort of like I'm surprised that someone's like, oh, this really helped. It's like,
yes, yeah. You're like, what? Like, right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Because then you think about the times that somebody did it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
well, you're not only the king of rock, you're the king of pay it forward too, Darryl. I think so.
Well, you have to. We all have to be hope in motion. Because a lot of us have hope, but let's take that hope and put it in motion. Yeah. I'm working on a song. It might be because of what it means to me. Tricky is wonderful. Walk This Way is incredible. King of Rock is cool. Rock is cool. But I'm working on this song called, because so many people get to that point in life where they think there's nothing to live for. They have nothing else to give. And then I thought about hip hop culture where these kids in the Bronx had nothing, but they was able to take the funk, the rock, the pop, and the disco that they threw away, add poetry, dance, and art through the graffiti and breakdancing to it, and it became everything. I'm working on a song, and I want the sound, the music to be either like Simple Man, or Mr. Fantasy, hey, Mr. Fantasy, which is at the beginning of Endgame. But the words is, even when there's nothing, there is something to use. Even when there's nothing, there is something to use. Even when there's nothing, there is something to use. You can still do something when there's nothing you can do. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're sitting around there's always something that you can do when you think that there's nothing you can do. You can always still do something. And it, like you said, for the foster kids, what I'm finding out is, look, adoption, I love my mother and father because they kept me.
Mm.
And the reason why they was able to keep me because my birth mother gave me up so that I could get where I'm supposed to go. Adoption is a huge thing. Foster care is a huge step. But to serve these kids, and I'm talking about not just foster orphans, underprivileged kids, the homeless kids, we have a responsibility to all these kids because just because they're in a messed up situation doesn't mean they can't be the next great me and you. Entertainers, journalists, doctors, lawyers. But one of the things that I find out through this foster care and adoption stuff that I'm doing, something that's really powerful is just mentorship, where, okay, you might not be in a position to adopt or be a foster person, but you can find one kid and be a friend to him and say, you know what, I'm going to take you to a movie. I'm going to take you to a play or whatever.
Yeah.
But just what me and Sheila find out, this is a life game changer. Sometimes when we go into certain places, we talk to kids and the kids feel like there's nobody there for them. What works as a kid is, yo, here's a number. You can call me anytime. And they'll look at you like, anytime, you can call me anytime. And even if they don't call, you get their number or, get the counselor, the facilities number. What changed, what I found out how I impacted a lot of kids is just, oh, let me check up on this kid once a week. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. How you doing?
Yeah.
Just doing that, when they hang up that phone, it makes them say, wow, this person cares about me.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't play hooky. Oh, this person cares about me. Maybe I should go try out for the team.
Yeah.
So it's just being there is more valuable than diamonds and gold.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Darryl, man, this has been awesome. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on. What are some of the best ways listeners can learn more, get your books, things like that? We can put them in the show notes.
I have King D on Instagram. I have at King DMC. I have at DMC Cookies, and I have DMC Makes Comics. Okay. So you can follow me on Instagram, King DMC, DMC Cookies, and DMC Makes Comics.
Got it. Okay, we'll make sure we get that in the show notes.
I got to put the last plug in for everybody when it comes to music. Darryl makes cookies, Darryl makes comics, but of course, Darryl still got to make that great music. My new single coming out in November, drum roll, people are going to love this. The song is called She Gets Me High. It features DMC and Sebastian Bach on vocals. Travis Barker on drums, Mick Mars from Motley Crue on guitar, and the incredible Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses on bass.
Oh, man.
It's a fun song that brings those 5 different generations of hip-hop together.
Wonderful.
And I think it's something in the midst of all personal, social, spiritual, emotional, political, and religious turmoil that existed on this earth since the dawn of time. I think this record, She Gets Me High, featuring DMC, Sebastian Bach, Duff McKagan, Travis Barker, and Mick Mars, is going to make everybody smile, hug each other, and have cookies and milk.
Hear, hear. We need to get it licensed to be our intro and outro music.
We can make that happen.
All right. Good deal. Oh, well, thank you, my friend. I feel so fortunate that our paths crossed in New York, and what a difference between what you were describing as Times Square in the 70s versus, Times Square when you and I were just there.
Yeah.
So it's been wonderful. I just, again, have to tip my hat and salute you. The transparency you have about your journey, the things that you've been able to overcome, the giving back through the Felix organization and other things. We'll put those in the show notes as well, too, for people that want to learn more and get a part of that and donate to that. So making the time today, again, just as speaks to your generosity of heart and soul and love, and I really appreciate it, my friend.
No, thank you for having. I mean, it's the reason that we met, so that we can have this connection and conversation.
That's good. Yeah. Hey, yeah.
You
Good
know,
karma. Good karma. The
and
universe spoke
yeah,
to us.
yes, exactly. And hopefully, what we're doing here is knocking down walls, just like Stephen Tyler did in Walk This Way.
Here, here. All right. Thanks so much, my friend.
Thank you. Anytime you need me, you know how to get me, man.
Will do. You're on my speed dial.
I appreciate you so much. Keep up the great works.
Likewise. Likewise.
And I'll see you soon. I'm sure we'll see each other again.
I suspect that is very true. Yeah. Looking at our
Yes.
calendars, I think that's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
As a reminder, listeners can read a summary of this episode and access links to the show notes via my LinkedIn Top Voice companion article, along with past guests as well. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I have, and I hope it will help you in your journey to living your life in full. Until next time. Living a Life in Full is a production of Stout Media, a subsidiary of Gordian Knot, LLC. Assistant producer, Gracie Wong. Music, Dan O'Brien. Executive producer and host, Dr. Chris Stout. To learn more, stop by our website at Life in Full for show notes, and please recommend us to your friends and subscribe on your favorite platform. And as for the obligatory disclaimer, this podcast is for general information uses only and does not constitute the practice of psychology, medicine, nutrition, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical or psychological advice. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, I take conflicts of interest seriously. For all of my disclosures as well as show notes, please see livingalifeinfull.org/podcast and my LinkedIn profile. Thanks, and until next time.